My name is Amit. I'll quickly take you through education loan fine prints of Credila and the other banks. To start the session, a few details about education loan, what it covers. It covers 100% cost of education. Education loan as an option is available with most of the banks, public sector banks as well as private sector banks, and there are some other players like NBFC. A maximum duration of an education loan can be 10 years, and while I move on, whenever you have some questions, feel free to raise them up. You will be able to punch your questions and ask them. 3-4 prime parameters that define whether a student or a co-applicant loan amounts eligibility shall be how much, what are the terms and conditions, what might be the parameters of a student loan. The major factors that differentiate, since it's a student loan, it relies very heavily on a student, how good a student is in terms of his or her credentials, in terms of his or her academic credentials. The way loans are structured in India, it has to be backed by a co-applicant. Co-applicant can be a mother, father, or an immediate family member. Collateral in case of an unsecured option or a secured loan again plays an important role. The way products are structured with most of the banks and private sector banks as well, a loan up to 7 lakhs is available where you need not mortgage your property. I understand most of the students, all three participants I have are from college bound, and you might be in the process of expecting or receiving an I-20 or an admit very shortly. You can approach banks and financial institutions after securing an admit or an I-20. With Credila, that process can be initiated right now. Processing time more or less is same with everyone, ranges from 10 to 30 days, depending on the complexity of the proposal. The complexity can be differentiated or demarcated in terms of the various locations involved or various co-applicants, if at all a student is studying out of his or her hometown, in terms of signatures, in terms of documentation, in terms of verification. The process can get complex and might require some more time. Can I move on? In case any questions, feel free to ask. Another very important aspect which might be of relevance to you is a moratorium option. Moratorium is a concept wherein any student or a parent need not pay anything while a student is studying. The way student loans are structured is there is a study period, which normally in case of a Master of Science is 24 months plus 6 months of grace period, and then it can be a maximum term of 10 years, or even it can be 120 months. So moratorium is something which you all shall understand in terms of what exactly it is. So a full moratorium is a concept wherein a student does not pay anything while he or she is studying. This option is available with almost all the education loan providers in the country. However, during your study period, you need to repay simple interest only onto the availed amount, and if you opt for a full moratorium period, this amount gets added onto the principal, and then your principal actually goes up substantially. Hence, you end up paying more interest. But that option, if somebody wishes to avail, is available. How competitive? What are the rates that are available? In the most of the banks, the rates are fairly more or less the same. Product offerings are more or less the same. Please have a look at it, have a detailed look at it. SBI, this slide is slightly outdated, has been funding 30 lakh, up to 30 lakh rupees. Student loan worth 30 lakh rupees is available with SBI. If you look at the last column, which talks about margin money, every player asks for a margin money of 5% to 15%. For students going abroad, this margin money is approximately 15%. And at the same time, while we are paying heed to the different rates available, let's pay attention to the fact that the way banking functions in India is basis solely the strength of relationship that you have. Hence, these product offerings, the rate of interest will change. I repeat, might change depending on your strength of relationship, or your father's or your mother's strength of relationship with your banker. So these are the broad guidelines, but depending on your strength of relationship, depending on how important a banker perceives you as a customer, your rates and product offerings will change, and they will try and customize it to suit your requirements. Top 5 reasons why an education loan makes sense, why you should look at availing an education loan. It does give you benefits in terms of income tax benefits under Section 80E. I repeat, under Section 80E of Income Tax Act 1961, whatever amount you pay or a student or a parent pays to service interest towards an education loan for his or her child or a ward or an immediate family member gets exempted from the taxable income. And these benefits are over and above the other benefits. So 80C you got a ceiling, 80D we have a ceiling, 80E there is no ceiling. 1. 2, it is over and above the other benefits. To create a positive credit history for students, it's a good option. When a student is studying, a parent is repaying, the loan is in the name of student, and hence there is a positive credit history which is getting generated for a student. For students going to USA, it makes it also helps, because while you are studying in USA, your father or mother is paying money. Your positive CIBIL or a positive credit history is getting generated in India. At the same time, the way it helps you is almost every player, almost every service provider in India shares your repayment history with TransUnion and Equifax, which are the individual credit rating agencies in USA or across the world. The way we have CIBIL in India, we have other rating agencies across the world. And when your bill or when your repayment history is getting shared with those institutions or those agencies or those rating agencies, a positive credit history is getting generated for a student while he or she is studying, and hence when they come out of their studies and wish to avail a mortgage loan or an auto loan or a credit card, you get a better product offering. It also helps in creating a safety belt against currency fluctuations. The way our currency market has been fluctuating in the recent past, it has been, if you look at the last 1 year, it has fluctuated by almost 20% in terms of rupee versus dollar fluctuation. Hence, it makes sense to avail a sanction letter, and whether you wish to take disbursement out of it or no is secondary, but then it works as a safety belt in case of monetary requirements arise in future. So you have a loan limit available which can be used. EMI, unlike other products, a loan against property is a very similar product where a student or a parent mortgages the property and takes up a loan. And the rate of interest is lesser, I repeat. A rate of interest with loan against property is very, very competitive as compared to an education loan. Still, it makes sense because the EMI starts after a student completes his studies. Also, income tax benefit under Section 80 makes education loan as a more financially viable proposition. I move on to the next slide. Credila, the way the Credila products are structured, for up to 25 lakh rupees for a secured loan, the rate of interest is 13.5%. And if you wish to compare it with the previous few slides where I was trying to discuss about the product offerings with other banks and other financial institutions, the rates are fairly competitive, and these are rack rates. I repeat, the rates will depend primarily upon how good a student or a parent profile is. For USA bound students, especially for USA MS students, for a loan of up to 20 lakh rupees, there is no collateral or no mortgage of a property required, and the rate of interest is 13.75%. However, these product offerings will vary, will depend a lot. The rate might change depending on a co-applicant or a student's profile. And I repeat, the way Credila functions is we operate out by an individual pricing model, wherein we say every individual is a different customer, and hence offers brings in a unique kind of risk, brings in a unique kind of requirement, and we specialize in customizing products for you. Hence, we will be able to extend you a better rate as compared to other banks who will look at you with only one perspective, that is a standardized rate. With us, we will be able to offer a much more productive or a much more competitive price. I move on. Credila versus other public sector and private sector banks. With us, there is no margin money which is required, while with most of the banks and financial institutions, there is a margin money of 15 to 20% which is required to be paid. Up to 20 lakh rupees, as I discussed in the previous slide, a student need not offer a collateral or a mortgage or property to avail this loan, especially US bound MS students. An I-20 or an admit is not a mandatory requirement, so if you wish to avail, understand your financial eligibility or eligibility of how much of loan will you get. You need not wait for an I-20 or an admit to receive. Very interesting point is this one, which is equitable versus registered mortgage. Credila uses equitable mortgage. Let's pay a little attention to how does this function. When you avail a loan and offer a property against that loan, the lender, which is the financial institution, does register this mortgage deed. And especially in state of Maharashtra and Gujarat, a registered mortgage does attract stamp duty and registration charges, which goes as high as 0.2% of the property value, or a 50,000 maximum of the ceiling, which also means that these charges are borne by a consumer. The end consumer is a student or a parent. With Credila, we do an equitable mortgage where a registration of the mortgage is not required. The registration of the deed is not required. What are the minimal charges which are extended to government in terms of franking and stamp duty? We pay it on your behalf, and hence this registered mortgage franking and stamp duty charges are not borne by the end consumer. We specialize and hence we claim that we understand students' educational requirements. Hence, we understand the difference between an off-campus living and an on-campus expenses while a student is studying, and hence we are able to extend finances to support our students' off-campus expenses, which are, as per us, are much lesser as compared to an on-campus funding. The processing fee is one time, and that's the case with most of the financial institutions. For visa, there's a unique proposition wherein if a student requires some funding for the visa process, that can be extended on a very selective case-to-case basis. Depends a lot on the university that you are. Move on to the next slide. How if you wish to avail, how do you do that? Especially for college-bound students, I understand we have a dedicated relationship manager. You can visit our website, our toll-free number. Visit our website. These are our footprints. That's the way you will be able to contact us. You can feel free to reach us through our toll-free number. You can also SMS us. You'll be able to send us an email as well at lakhs@credila.com. At the same time, for college-bound students, we do have a dedicated relationship manager. You can approach your counselors and college-bound as an institution, and they'll be able to guide you to connect with Credila. With this, I would like to end the session. Any questions, if you have, feel free to raise them up, and we will be able